Good reason.
Hello,
Hey,
everyone. Hello.
Hey, I made a face.
I was just telling him, don't make faces at the camera. So he's like a little kid over here.
There's no camera.
How is everyone? Well, we're live. I guess that's true. I mean, but the camera kind of has to present it. So, how is everybody this evening? We have been talking about various cities, various buyers and sellers. Kind of got a lot going on here in the Dallas area right now, but I'm very interested to know how everybody's day was. How was your day? And today I want to explore whether or not currently the way the market is right now, whether or not that's an opportunity or not. And so I'm really hoping
Depending on how your day was?
No, okay. So I was asking two different things. Why are you giving me a hard time? No, two different things. Number one, how was your day? How are you guys doing? And then number two was hoping to kind of take a poll on who thinks the housing market is an opportunity. Okay. If it's not, what would it take?
There's always opportunities in the housing market, but that's just me.
It's true. So. It is very, very true. Everybody pop on and say hello. Let us know how you're doing. So today got some good articles to read about the housing market. A lot to think about there because, on the one hand, we've got some seriously dropping prices, but then on the other hand, still those rates just being so stubborn. So if you don't think it's an opportunity now, I would love to know your data as to when it would be, right? Put a number on that. All right. Okay, here we go. We will be back. Hi, y'all. Says Ida Wong. Hi, Ida. You think so? She said, hi, y'all. Does that automatically put you in the South? The fact that you said y'all. All right. Well, hi, and how are you? And tell me, Ida, I'd be very interested to know, do you think that we have an opportunity right now, or does it need to change? And if it needs to change, what do you think? What would it take for it to be there? So I'm just very interested to get everybody's perspective on that. Hello, family. Hello, Monday. It's nice to see you. How are you? Humphrey is back. Hey, Humphrey. I think it will continue to soften through the fall. I agree. I think you're right, unless we see mortgage rate movement.
That's the only thing, yeah.
Mortgage rate movement.
So it's an easing.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, have you been noticing how much grief everybody's giving the Fed about lowering rates? It has been really interesting.
That's going to do anything.
I don't know. I mean, literally Republicans, Democrats, and members of the own Federal Reserve Board are all giving Powell grief right now. So I am very interested to see if that's going to do anything. All right, Rhonda. Hey, Rhonda.
Hey, Rhonda.
Hello, and you had a good day. Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. Everybody else tell me if you've had a good day. I'm very interested to know. So yeah, definitely not a bad market, but if you are taking builder options, I'd wait until mid to end of August to explore options. I think I think at our current mortgage rate level, I think we're going to continue to see kind of a softening market. I think that it's going to be really rate sensitive.
Yeah.
You agree?
We're always rate sensitive. But there's always going to be the demand. Now, I'll say this over and over again. There's definitely, there's locations where people want to be, so the prices will go up there.
Yeah. In fact, guys, I pulled some data today on all of the different counties, and one of the counties is doing really, really well, and some of the counties are doing really poorly. So it is.
But she's not going to tell you which ones.
In a minute. That was a spoiler. No, a non-spoiler. The opposite. I think a typical crash is about 10%. We're currently only down close to 4%.
The biggest drop I think we've ever had in Dallas-Fort Worth is about 7%.
Yeah, so. And it's interesting to me because I think Monday that is not outlandish to say that, because I have definitely had people comment on my video saying that they want to see a 30% crash. And I'm like, wow, that just seems would that ever really happen?
And then that could hurt a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it really would.
That would hurt the economy.
It would. Hey, Mr. OL96, good evening. I had a great day today. I love that. I love hearing it. Hope you both are well. I definitely think the market is an opportunity. I'm anxious to see what the fall brings.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that we've spoken with are like, hey, we're waiting till the fall. Those of you that are waiting until the fall, tell me why. I'm very interested to know, is this specifically a rates thing? Is it typical seasonality? Like typically prices will go down in the fall regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But I am interested to know if it's also waiting to see rates. Rhonda has a comment for you. Are you ready? Laugh out loud. Dale is on a roll today. You know what? Go ahead. Take over. You who are on a roll.
That's not my position.
No. You take over. Yeah. You own the thing.
How you guys doing?
Hey, see, isn't he a great? He could just take over. So Dale spent his afternoon in Royce City. So we've got a closing there. Good experience, right?
Yeah, it was excellent. I mean, the whole transaction was excellent with Highland Homes. So,
boy, you guys, we've just been real happy with Highland.
Yeah, and he said if he would buy again, he would probably try to buy a Highland Home again. I told him to buy a Plan 608. You guys go look that up.
Plan 608.
Yep, Highland Homes Plan 608.
All right, guys. That we're throwing out the gauntlet, whether you're watching live or watching later. We want to hear what everybody thinks about Plan 608 with Highland Homes. There you go. Yeah, I love it.
Pretty cool plan.
Yeah. Okay. I've got an article here to read to you guys. Let me see here if I can take a look at this. And then what I did was I pulled together some stats, and I want to show you those as well. So the article is going to talk about like the stats that were like the end of May. And then I actually took the stats today, like fresh off the press kind of today. So we'll look at those as well. These two Texas metros offer some of the biggest home price cuts this summer. Wonder which those are.
Well, like 3 metros
Yeah, I thought there was 3 also. Okay, after a slow spring, housing markets in parts of the U.S. are becoming increasingly buyer-friendly, including areas in Texas. I do want to touch on this for a minute. There's just so much out there where people say that 6 months of inventory becomes a buyer's market. And so I've long since not really agreed with that. But when we go through the data today, we're going to see that almost all of them are almost up to 6 months. So even the people that believe that, it's up there. Okay. Overall, the South and West are brimming with options and big deals, according to a study by Realtor.com. The real estate website gathered data in May of 2025. Okay, so now we're pushing into July. So this data is about a month old. On the share of listings offering price cuts, which is a key indicator of a buyer-friendly market. So this is focused specifically on rate cuts. My May figures for the median sales price, May figures for the median list prices and the median days on the market were also collected to determine the country's 10 metros with the largest price cuts. Okay, so we're talking 10 metros, entire country. Okay, here's what data reveals about the current housing market. Realtor.com found the South and West generally offered more choices to house hunters. New listings, which measure the number of owners putting homes up for sale, have increased by 3.8% from the same period last year. Now I do want to comment on this. As we're reading it, guys, keep in mind that only about like maybe 1/3 to 1/2 of new construction actually makes it into these data banks. So whenever we see these articles by Realtor.com and the data on the MLS, you have to remember there's a whole subset out there that we're not tapping into. And it's because it's not on the MLS. So just kind of keep that in mind as we're reading. Okay, let's see. A growing number of for sale homes in some markets is helping to rebalance the market, giving buyers more negotiating room than they've seen in several years. Realtor.com chief economist Daniel Hale said, and she's right. I've looked at the data and it's very true. Okay, despite pandemic era construction booms, demand has faded as mortgage rates rise and the economy remains uncertain. This has prompted sellers to significantly lower their asking prices. In Austin, the number of new listings skyrocketed 13.2% from May 2024 to May 2025, the most of any metro on the top 10 list. So keep that number in mind, okay? Because we're going to look at local data here in a minute. So keep that number in mind, that 13.2%, because they're saying that that is the most of any metro on the top 10 list. Okay, so just, all right, can you do that? Keep that number in mind. Okay. The overall inventory of for sale properties in Austin also increased by 26.5%, as the median price declined by 6.3% to $525,000. Wow, that right there really speaks volumes as to Austin being a more expensive metro.
Yeah.
Right? If their median price declined to $525,000. Yeah, they really did, guys. Austin had a much bigger escalation in prices. They really did, far more than what we saw in Dallas. All right, let's see here now. Let's see, where was I? This was the biggest annual drop among the 50 largest U.S. metros. So increasing, let's see, overall inventory increasing by 26.5%. as the median price declined by 6.3%. So we're going to see here in a minute when we look at local Dallas data, let's kind of see how that compares. This was the biggest annual drop among the 50 largest U.S. metros, according to Realtor.com, May 2025 monthly housing market trends report. As of May, 29.2% of all listings in the Texas capital offered price reductions. All right, so that gives us a good idea of Austin. Yep. A construction spree during the peak of COVID-19 resulted in over 60% more active inventory in Austin compared to 2019. Wow. Now that this excess of homes has lingered on the market for over 6 years, prices have softened. You know what we should have done is we should have gotten some friends from Austin to join us. We should have done that, to join us, to talk to us. So if you're from Austin,
one of these times.
Yeah, if you're from Austin, pipe in, tell me what you're seeing in the market there. Okay, let's see. That would have been fun. Let's see. Sellers are responding, and these areas, concentrated again in the South and the West, show the highest share of price cuts, with more than 1 in 4 listings in each market having a price reduction. Wow, 1 in 4. That's crazy. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what's going on there. You can see Austin is number 4 of those 10 metros, and Dallas is number 8. Okay, so that right there speaks volumes. So of the 10 top 10 metros, Dallas came in 8. So Austin was worse than Dallas.
And we had a pretty good jump too, but I wouldn't say it was a bubble. But now I think we're mostly returning back to normal. So
yeah. Okay,
a little bit less than normal, but mostly normal.
All right, let's see here now. Let's catch up on a few comments.
Okay.
I got to see that 50 to 100 basis point drop. I'm already approved, but I don't care to look. Nothing impresses me enough to pay 1.5 times what the house is worth in interest over 30 years. Monday, I think that's a great
interest. Yeah.
I think that's a great point. And I think too, like when you're waiting, and I'd really love to hear from you guys that are choosing to wait. I think quantifying what you're looking for is really good. Just exactly like what you're doing. Go ahead and put down what it is. So you want to see 50 to 100 basis point drop. So I guess you're saying 6% or maybe 5.5% is the rate. And so if you can write that down, specifically what you're looking for, and who knows if you could find it now, or if you do need to wait, and be disciplined enough to wait if you need to, but also be open to the fact that you could potentially find it now. Okay. Relocating in the fall to be near elderly parents, buying new in Denton and Colin counties. That's awesome. In a minute here, when we go through this data, you're going to see some of the ones with some pretty significant drops in price. And those are, Colin County is probably our most densely populated, most popular county. And then I would say Denton, probably pretty close thereafter. Denton and Rockwell County, it's kind of a toss up there. Would you agree?
I don't know. I wouldn't know if I'd say Denton County is. I mean, there's the east part of Denton County, which is practically the same as Colin County, but then there's the west part of, main part of Denton County and west part that is very widespread, very open. So I would not say it's as.
So would you say Rockwell County maybe is the second?
Rockwell County.
Rockwell County's small, but boy, they have good schools.
Yeah. And then
all right. And
there's
they've got a lot of new construction.
There,
so I'm
there's
curious.
still a lot of open land in Rockwell County too, though.
Gotcha. So I'm curious about the fall to identify trends and try to map out the housing terrain. I'm looking into building summer fall 2026 as we relocate to the DFW area. I think it's great that you're already looking. In fact, was just talking with a buyer, I think it was yesterday, same thing. They're looking to do a new build. They don't want to move until summer of 2026, right? But they're already kind of putting together and planning. And now is the time. I mean, new construction. What would you say?
Next week, we're looking to get a client under contract that will want to move in the summer of 2026 to build. So they're building bigger. So it's going to be more of a 10 to 12 month build, but still.
Anywhere from like 6 to 12 months. Yeah. Yeah. Your build time's anywhere from 6 to 12 months. We've had one take as long as 15 months before. That was quite the marathon. Okay. I love this. Here you go. Plan 608 is a grand slam.
It's also a grand price too. Yeah.
Great recommendation. There you go. Okay. You guys have my curiosity now. I want to go look it up and see what's really nice. What's there.
There are other nicer plans too, but still, it's a nice.
That's neat. Okay. Now I really want to see
other builders and stuff. So,
okay. I've got to look this up. What do we consider as median? Okay, give me a little bit more information on what you mean by that, by median. You're talking about
median means middle. If you take all the prices or whatever, and then you cut it in half, that's what the median is.
Very true.
Divided by 2.
Mm-hmm. So really, sometimes average can be more accurate. It just kind of depends. So, but yeah, median means right in the middle. Yeah. Okay, let's see here now. Red state. Oh, this is very interesting. Red states have less building codes and regulations, which allowed more new construction. This created a larger correction. I have no idea if that's accurate or not. That is very interesting. I do know that Texas does have a lot of regulations, but what do you think? But yeah,
they're definitely. California really struggles with that because they have a lot of regulations, and so they struggle with building, having enough to build out there and stuff. So I hear that a lot.
Very interesting point. Yeah. Good point, Kay. I really want to get some land out on the new Ralph Hall Lake out by Ladonia. Spell check. I can't find any listings. Oh, that's good. Well, I guess when you know that you're not spelling it right. Dale's going to look that up. All right, guys, I want to show you. I want to go ahead and show you our local. So we're talking about our hyper local stats, and we are talking about today. Okay, so these are the stats from today. I pulled them about an hour. I was pushing it. Pulled them about an hour before our live stream tonight. So this is as recent as it comes. Very local. So I separated it into our entire metroplex as a whole, and then I broke it down into counties. And by the way, if you would like me to add on some other counties, I'm going to try to do these stats every week. So if you have specific counties you'd like me to add, just comment either, comment now in the chat or later if you're not watching it live, just comment and I can add those in. But let's go ahead and take a look at what I have right now. Okay, entire metroplex. Okay, so these stats are going to be for the entire metroplex. Our median sales price, let me see here if I can get this out of the way. Median sales price, okay, is up by 0.3%. So when we're talking about Dallas as a whole, the entire metroplex, right in the middle.
DFW.
Right, DFW Metro. So we're seeing as of today, sales prices are up a little bit. Okay, so not a big drop. This is the median, big picture, right? However, active listings are up 24.4%. So you're going to see as we go through, we've got a lot of prevailing push that would cause the prices to soften, but not all of them are. New listings are up 4.2%. So that's not huge. Let's see here now. Pending sales down 20.1%. And I did want to chat with you guys a little bit about that because this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of contingencies fall through where we've got a buyer who has to also sell their house first and they get discouraged or, for whatever reason, they just take it off the market and they don't buy. So that's where we're seeing a lot of these pending contracts fall through. But I've seen plenty of comments on my videos where people have said they have walked away from their deposit because they're nervous about the market. and so some people, it's like they put $20,000, $30,000 down and they're like, I just didn't have a good feeling about it. And so we've seen some fall out of contract for that reason as well. All right, so pending sales, hope you guys can see that, down 20.1% year over year. So if you can see this, we've got 2023, 2024 here, and then 2025. Okay.
Yeah.
Closed sales are down 4.2%. So we're still talking big picture, entire DFW area. Days on market up 26.9%. Months of inventory, 24.4% increase year over year. And so this is what I was talking about earlier when I was saying that there are people, to me, in my mind, kind of an outdated belief, especially since new construction doesn't show up, that would say that it takes 6 months to become a buyer's market. And to all of those that still continued claiming it was still a seller's market, boy, even if you go by that metric, right, we're almost at 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Denton County. All right, ready? Denton County. Sales prices are down. Median sales price down 2.3%. Okay. Active listings. Whew, you guys, look at that. Year over year, up 47.9%. And then in 2024, they were up 33%. And now they're up 47.9%. But remember, guys, to a degree, we really wanted to see that. When you're coming from those COVID lows, we really needed to see that go up.
But there's a growing area out there. It's more, especially in the North Lake area, I would say it's probably one of the North Lake, Justin area. A little bit Argyle, but yeah.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay. Let's see where we are here. Denton County, right? New listings, Denton County up 16.9%. Pending sales. Man, look at this. You're going to see this trend in every county. Pending sales down 20.8%. Closed sales down 0.4%. So that's not quite as big of a hit. Days on the market up 45%. And months of inventory 5.2. So we're going to see a lot of these. It's up 48.6%. We're going to see a lot of these are pushing right up almost to that 6 month mark. I mean, that inventory is really, really up. Okay, let's see here now. All right, so that was Denton County. Let's go ahead and move into Colin County. And this is traditionally our more popular county. We've got our best schools in Colin County. It's more densely populated. I would say definitely a majority of the people that we talk to that are looking, to buy, they mention Colin County, by and large. So Colin County, very popular. Let's go ahead and see what's going on in Colin County. Okay, median sales price is down 4%. Okay, so down 4%. You can kind of see the drop there. Active listings up 49.7%. Wow, and kind of keep in mind what we were thinking at what we saw in that article about Austin. We've got active listings up 49.7% in Collin County. All right, new listings up 15%. Pending sales down 12.4%. So they're not quite as high as we've seen, with the DFW as a whole, and also with Denton County. They're not quite to that extent. So better metric there. Let's see. Okay, closed sales are slightly up 0.9%. Days on market, very up.
Yep.
Plus 42.9%. So are these numbers just really surprising you how compelling they are? These are not just, for the most part, these are some pretty big things. Months of inventory. Okay. Again, we see, up 36.8%. And again, we're up at this 5 month mark there. And keep in mind that this data that I'm using, my data source here is the MLS. So nothing on here actually includes all of the new construction that is off.
Yeah, there's
the
a little
MLS,
bit new construction, but not most of it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. Let's see here now. Let's go ahead and talk about Tarant County.
Tarrant County is kind of interesting just because of some of the cities in the northeast part of Tarrant County are high dollar, high, rated school district areas and stuff. But there's no building going on in there and stuff. But it's some of the most. No, I would say the very most expensive, but it's pretty close.
Yeah. You're talking about like South Lake.
South Lake, Keller. Capel,
some of those best schools too.
Yeah.
Some of those best schools.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Where are we? Oh, Tarrant County. That's right. Okay, median sales price in Tarrant County down 0.9%. So, pretty minimal change there. Active listings up 20%. We've been seeing some in the 40s, so 20% sounded better. New listings are actually down 2.5%. Now, ordinarily this time of the year, you would expect to see kind of inventory fairly soon starting to drop, even in a normal year, because everybody that was going to move for schools, they're getting kind of close to where they wouldn't be able to make it happen. All right, let's see where we are now. Okay, pending sales down 23.5%. Wow. Closed sales down 13.4%. Okay, days on market up 31.6%. Everything's staying on the market longer. Months of inventory. Okay, you can see it's a little bit. This one's still in the fours. First one we've seen. It's still up 23.
There's just not as many homes for sale that way.
All right, so that gives us Tarrant County. We're going to go ahead and slide over. We got Tarrant County here just to kind of reorient you. Up here, see if you guys can see that. Up here, we were in Denton County, and over here was Colin County. Then we slid to the south a little bit for Tarrant, and now we're looking at Dallas. So that's Dallas County. Okay, let's see what we have for Dallas County.
And Dallas County is all over the place too, as far as what type of real estate there is.
Oh man, there sure is. Huge range. Dallas, all right. Dallas home sale prices, guys, up 4.6%. So who expected that? Up 4.6%. Active listings up 27.8%. We've got our new listings are up by only 3.1%. So I think we're seeing now a little bit of a trend among these that there's starting to be not as much. We still got high overall listings, but some of it is, the new stuff has definitely seems to be slowing down. All right, pending sales down 18%. Guys, these are forward indicators, and they're all showing that we have less under contract. Closed sales down 2.2%. Okay. Days on market, up 35% to 27 days. So we're seeing definitely I think every single county so far is showing that those days on the market are longer. Months of inventory, guys, at 5 months for Dallas County. Okay, so up 28.2%. So far, Tarrant County was the lowest, still in the 4 month, but all of these others are pushing 5 to 6. All right, so that covers our Dallas County. Let's go ahead and talk about Rockwell County. So we've covered Tarrant County, then we went to Dallas County. Now we're kind of heading slightly north and east over to Rockwell County. Rockwell County has a lot to offer. They have just a lot of new construction, and the entire county has really good schools.
Yeah.
So lots to offer in Rockwell County. I think a big drawback is having to cross the lake.
Depending on what part, but and it's there is a lot of open land out there. Pretty land too.
Yep, very true. All right, let's see what Rockwell County has for us. Okay, our median sales price is up 0.6%. So far, what we've looked at so far, Colin County was the one with the biggest drop, right? And some of these are it's just kind of negligible. It's just a little bit here and a little bit there. Active listings are up 38.9%. Okay. New listings up 9.4%. Oh, pending sales down 9.8%. Not as bad as what we've been seeing. Closed sales up 1.1%. Let's see what else we have here. Days on the market up 13.9%. They're up to 41 days on the market. Months of inventory.
7 months.
7. Wow. Would you have expected that in Rockwell?
Yeah.
That is wild, guys. That is so much inventory out there. All the others have been about 5. And now
Rockwell.
Yeah, go to Rockwell County. And I would bet that this is probably not uniform, because I would bet places like Princeton and maybe Royce City probably have a lot more, and maybe Rockwell doesn't have as much. I would bet that Heath doesn't have as much. Interesting. Wow. 7 months of inventory, guys. Let's see. Okay, now we are sliding slightly south and still east. So we had Rockwell County here. Now we're going south and east to Kaufman County. And you can tell when you look at Kaufman County, you can see that it's got a ton of open land. You've got some densely populated areas like Forney and Heartland kind of coming up there, but you've still got a ton of space. It's just very much undeveloped. So let's see what we've got for Kaufman County. Okay. This is our biggest median sales price drop, down 5.8%. Wow. Okay. So right now, Kaufman's in first place for the biggest price drop. Active listings are up 16.9%. So that's interesting that their active listings are not as up as some of the others. And yet they still have the biggest price drop. So that's very interesting. Okay. New listings up 9%. Pending sales down 0.3%. Well, that is interesting.
Yeah. Look how pretty much the same it is all the way through all the years. Yeah.
I mean, that's
a real change.
That is a very good point. It's not just year over year, it's several years now. So to me, to the extent that that's a forward indicator, I bet we're going to see those prices kind of bump up a little bit, that lower, because the fact that they've still got, because all the others we were seeing like 20%, pending sales being down. Closed sales down 19.9%.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, guys, isn't it? That trend there where we've got the pending sales are up, but closed sales are down. So it's probably, if we watch that trend, we're going to see that it's going to catch up because they've got so many pending. Okay. And days on market,
35.
Wow. Look at that, down 14.6%. This is I think this is the first one we've seen where the days on the market are actually lower. So that's interesting.
They're still up there though. They're more than, it was only Rockwell County that had more higher days on the market. So
you guys, as you're digesting this data, drop your comments in the chat and we'd be happy to answer any questions. Housing market, new construction. I'm very interested to know. I read an article, by the way, that said 80% of potential buyers are waiting. So 20 are in the market right now, 80 are waiting. And so I would love to know, this is what I'd love to know. If you're waiting, what would you like to find out while you're waiting? Right? So what videos could I make? What information would help you to prepare during this time that you're waiting? So if I can understand in my mind, I've got 20 that are looking and 80 that are waiting. I would really like to meet that need.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah. Well, I'd want to know that. And then also, like, how can I help you during this time period that you are waiting to help you be prepared for when you're ready to enter the market? So I'd really like to, please do comment there, whether you're watching live now or, after it's finished. Please do comment, because I would love to kind of help you in that preparation phase when you're waiting. Okay. Let me see. Where were we? All right.
Well, next one is Ellis County.
Yep, but this is still Kaufman.
Okay,
look at their months of inventory, right? Almost pushing 6 months. All right, up 9.4%. Okay, so this is Kaufman County. And again, we can see across the board, almost all of them are almost up to our 6 month mark. And if you think about the fact that this doesn't include new construction, that's something else. Okay, time to just south of Dallas County. So we had Kaufman County over here, then we slide this way, directly south of Dallas County. I will often say that this is sort of the undiscovered county, lots of good stuff in it. And yet, you don't really hear that much about it. Not many people ask about it. However, I think we're going to see, as we look at the stats, that might be changing. Okay. Look at their median sales price. It is up.
Wow.
By 5.8%. Okay, so up. So we've got, we just looked at Kaufman County, which is like down 5%, right? And so then we've got Ellis County up 5.8%. Active listings, okay, guys, this is the lowest increase we're seeing here, up 4.1%. But you do want to look, at 2024 where they were up 49%, right? So kind of take that into consideration. But still, their active listings are up only 4.1%. Not nearly as many. In their new listings, down 1.2%. Okay, so Ellis County has got some different dynamics than what we were seeing in our other counties. It's kind of off on its own there. Pending sales down 21.9%. So that's still similar. Closed sales, okay,
up a little bit.
Closed sales are up 3.5% year over year. So Ellis County looking good, Ellis County. Days on market, okay, also check out this one, down by 4.8%. So we've got our days on the market down. We've got our median sales price up. So some strong activity going on in Ellis County. And months of inventory down 1.9%. So just overall, some real signs of
their big
strength.
jump was in 2024. That's when a lot of the new construction started. But so I don't know if maybe they listed more in new construction there or something. Who knows? Yeah.
Well, and if you think about it, it's not that Ellis County is landlocked. No, they have a ton of new construction. I mean, they do. And it's just that they're being able to absorb it more because you've got places like Midlothian, Waxahachie, Red Oak. What else am I forgetting?
Maypearl,
all putting out new construction. A lot in Midlothian and Waxahachie. And yet you can see it's being absorbed.
Out east,
And then you compare that to Colin County where prices are so far down. So I'm kind of wondering if this undiscovered county that I talk about all the time is actually really getting discovered. If you're interested in Ellis County, tell us in the chat. I'm very interested to know. Let's see. All right. Let me see where we were. Let's see. Way up here. Still a little bit more. Yes. So this was the one that... Okay, we needed a little more info Monday to see what you were talking about, and then Kay.
So roughly,
did you look it up?
There's about 20 listings for land, anywhere from about a little better than a quarter acre up to 155 acres.
Oh,
but mostly around in the 30 to 50 acres. So
okay, oh nice.
Looks like pretty good prices per acre though.
All right. Okay, I need a little help here. I was looking back on the chat history. What do you mean by grapevine? Because I know you said, this was the last thing you said. You were talking about red states. This created a larger correction. Specifically, how does that relate to grapevine? Fill me in on the details. Okay, Syed, I thought about walking out of my contract since I signed it back in the start of the year too, but builder renegotiated the value with us.
Nice.
Way to go, Syed. That is excellent. We had a $45,000 incentive to which another $27,000 was adjusted.
Nice.
That is awesome. I mean, way to be aware and way to be able to press the builder for more. We did have a builder reduce the base price voluntarily with one of our clients.
That was last year.
It was last year. And then we had, and this is very interesting, we had another client bring up the fact that the base price was lowered on the house he had under contract, and they agreed, but then they said, we've put this much less into it.
Yeah.
So it was just that they made the house cheaper. Yeah. So it looked like the base price was lower, but really all they had done is put less to it.
Yeah.
So there was that. It was very thought-provoking. Tina, when it comes to resale, what typically do you see a buyer shying away from? PID, mud, or high HOA like Harvest?
PID and mud. The most probably.
Yeah. PID and mud.
And sometimes high HOA. Actually, Harvest is not the highest HOAs. So, but yeah.
I've been working on a video for Prosper ISD, and I was surprised how high it is in Mosaic.
Yeah.
Mosaic is really high.
And it's also their sales prices up there are really high too.
Yeah. I was super, super surprised. Okay, let's see. What are you guys' thoughts of new homes in Lavon, Texas?
There's some good stuff going on. I know Perry and Kaufman are doing some deals up there up in Lavon. They're really trying to sell some stuff. Hillstead and Lavon are both really nice neighborhoods. I'd say Hillstead's probably a little bit nicer one. The prices will probably be up a little bit more in Hillstead just because of its location. But yeah.
And my thoughts on Levon is you have a very huge variance in school quality because parts of Levon are in Wiley ISD, which is like 100% or above average, and then the others,
that's why it's
that's why it's so much better.
Yeah,
and then the others are in community ISD, which is like horrible ratings, very low ratings.
But it's so Levon is kind of being, basically it's going to be all Wiley and Rockwell. I mean, up there, I mean, it's like, it's all growing that way. So,
So I would think kind of be mindful of that with Levon. See if you can get within Wiley ISD and instead of community ISD.
As it grows, but
let's see. Mundy Hill Jr., do you think Dallas crash could come more in the fall?
I don't think there's going to be a crash.
It depends on your definition of a crash. Yeah. I think maybe if you're just saying, do you think prices will continue to come down?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, prices always soften in the fall.
Yeah.
It's a seasonal thing.
The only thing, if it changed that, if we had a big drop in the rates this fall.
Yeah. Guys, I've been working on some videos, really just studying mortgage rates, studying Powell versus Trump, and just really into that. And the whole thing just fascinates me right now. Believe it or not, Trump actually has ways that he can force rates down without even, having to wait on Powell. He has these specific tactics that he can do. So the whole thing is really interesting, which in answer to your question, Mundy, well, that's going to depend on what rates do, what mortgage rates do. And keep in mind, when we talk about the Fed, it's not the same thing as interest rates. You've got mortgage rates and you've got
different,
very different.
Fed rates
very
are short term.
Okay. So. Roberto, prices need to come down more. It's unaffordable. Quantify that, because we definitely hear that. I'd love to hear what would be
what's your price range, and in
is
fact, it more of a monthly thing, monthly cost?
Let's see here now if I can get this, because I was looking at the affordability index earlier today, and it's definitely very different than what we had. Let me see if I can pull up. Let's see here now. It's not letting me pull that up. Okay. Sorry, guys. Anyway, I was looking at it today and it's definitely changed. It's down by about a 1, whereas like during the COVID era, it was like at a 2. So, but yeah, I would love to hear, Roberto, if you can quantify that for me. I'm just very interested to know, what do people like I guess the data set of that, the quantification of it is unaffordable right now. What needs to happen? Like how much of a drop do we need to see? Okay. I'm waiting until price reductions slow. Would hate to be underwater. Yeah, I think that's very wise. So if you're waiting for price reductions to slow, the problem with that is trying to figure out what area. So when you say that, by what metric?
Because there's some places that prices are not reducing; they're up. So
yeah. If you think of I mean, like if you think about Ellis County,
it's about selling.
There we go.
Back.
We're back. Yes. So I guess, Humphrey, as you're doing that, figure out what your metric is on that. Are you talking about like the Dallas-Fort Worth area as a whole? Or are you talking about the United States? Because in the United States, it's definitely very different. Some areas prices are going up like crazy. So I would just put some data set on that. What is it? A specific county, a specific city? But I think it's very good to have that plan. As a cash buyer, hey, Brian, as a cash buyer, I'd like to know how much above the listing price I should expect in fees and expenses for closing. That's a good point. We've actually got a spreadsheet where we talk about that, when we have a cash buyer, to kind of go through what their closing costs are, because they're mainly just title fees.
It's mostly title fees, and it'll be probably closer to about 2% maybe. So,
yeah. It's definitely lower. Just title fees.
Because a lot of the fees are lender fees, the origination fee, the processing fees, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Very good. Very true. All right, Mr. OL96. I'm waiting because I can't move from Virginia until summer 2026 to start. Okay, to start the building process. So you wait. Okay. Speaking of your videos, they are extremely helpful. Awesome. In fact, your Shattuck review this week was great. I am so glad to hear that. Thank you so much. I never know how much they're helpful because they're so specific. Yeah. And especially when it's a really local builder, like Shattuck is only Texas. Yeah. I think they may even be only Dallas, the Dallas area. So that is so good to hear. That just, all right, I'm done. That made my night. Now I can go to bed happy.
All right. See ya.
Thank you for saying that. That really does make my day and my night. Okay. Any chances that you will do a Windsor Homes review? Because you asked, I will.
Okay. Basically, Windsor as much.
But no, I absolutely will. What we're doing right now is we release a new builder review every Sunday. So like this Sunday is going to be Impression Homes. The Sunday after that, I believe, is Partners in Building. After that, we're doing Huntington. So we can definitely put Windsor on the list. If you want to see some
really cool plans, go look at Partners in Building.
You guys, Partners in Building,
but you can cool. Look for, they have a ton of different choices.
Hundreds, yep. Yeah. You know, Partners in Building has an Achilles heel that everybody thinks they're cool, and then they find out about it and they're like, never mind.
Yeah, it's pricey, and plus you basically you own the home before they start building it, basically, or your mortgage with it. So
that's the Achilles heel, guys. Partners in Building is one of the only.
Sorry, I probably ruined your video.
It's okay. Okay, I can live with that. I do talk about that on the video a lot. I'm like, okay, guys, you got to know that you're going to love everything I tell you until I get to the financing part. Yeah, they are really cool, but they do require a construction loan. And during that video, I got on the phone with their preferred lender and got a lot of information that I'll give you on that video, so you can at least understand how it works. I don't know how we got off on that tangent, but anyway. But yes, we can do a Windsor Homes. I will add it to the list. I'll put that on. And by the way, anybody else that's watching, if you have a specific builder you'd like me to review, please drop it in the chat or go ahead and put it in a comment afterwards, because I can add it. Like I said, we drop a builder review video every Sunday. So looking for more.
They're mostly in the East, Windsor Homes.
Are they?
Mm-hmm. There's a little bit in the West, but.
Jay Powell mentioned during the ECB conference today that the Fed would have likely cut rates by now if it weren't for tariffs. If we expect 7 rate cuts, when would you suggest buying?
I think that the tariffs did inflation stuff. And I don't know.
Guys, this is fresh on my mind because, like I said, I've been really, I've had on my mind lately, really wanting to help the buyers who are waiting. And so I know that they've got to be watching for interest rates. So that's kind of where I've been parked. It's like, how can we advise on that? And it's amazing to me how much he's being pushed, even for July. Literally within the own Fed, you have 2 different ones that are saying, we want to see this as early as July. They're pushing hard. They're putting so much pressure on Powell for lowering the rates. And then he's hanging on saying, and get this. He even knows it's already arrived at what he wanted it to be. Like all this time, he has said, we will lower rates when, we have inflation at this percent. And so we're there, and he's still not doing it. And
just remember, it may or may not lower the mortgage rates.
We always want to issue that.
There's a lot of other things. There are a lot of other things that affect that. So
we. So when would we suggest buying? I suggest just getting everything prepared, have everything in line. In fact, I'm just getting ready to put out a video on this, just talking about the planning that goes in that, and be ready. And then just have a very hyper awareness of Fed rhetoric. Okay. Because a lot of times the rhetoric, before they actually take action, a lot of times it's the rhetoric that will start bringing the rates down. And so really be watching. Like an example of that is in the 2021-2022 era, where they started talking about policy shifting in November. They didn't actually lower rates until March, but mortgage rates started coming down just following the rhetoric long before the Fed lowered rates. So just, I would say, be ready, get your ducks in a row, know where you're going to buy, and then really listen to the Fed rhetoric and watch the market as a whole. Now, if you wanted to explore a forward commitment with new construction, if you wanted to limit it to just that, you could be looking now. You can, with these forward commitments, you can get a 4 or 5% fixed rate with new construction right now, right? And so, so I would say if that's the case, if you're willing to consider the forward commitment with new construction, you could be looking now. Otherwise, like I said, be really watching the market.
A lot of them are doing temporary buy downs. So,
Push for the permanent buy down. All right. Hey, Sumith, we haven't talked in a long time. Hope you're doing good. Any resources or guides you both recommend to help better prepare for purchasing a home? Like how to improve credit, researching lenders, down payment estimate, and any other factors you can prep for. What do you think?
Definitely talking to lenders, because lenders can help the credit improve, most of them have credit improvement programs. And they can also, help you understand your buying power, understand what your debt to income ratio is, what your how your credit will help, what are choices.
Sumith, if that is a need that other people talk about, I can make a video about it as well. We could also bring in our preferred lender on one of these live streams.
Oh, he
would be great at that. Yeah, Caleb, if you're watching, you might have just gotten recruited. Caleb is a Facebook friend, so he might be watching this. But that's a good idea. But really, the preferred lender, good lender, will take the time to walk you through the things that will help you fix your credit and go through that. Okay. Monday, is there a certain app or way I could look at the land out on the Lake Ralph? Where did you find it at?
Whoa. Well, it's the land actually on the lake. So these are also, I don't know.
He's just looking on the MLS, I guess.
Hold on a second.
He's going to come back to that, okay? Please share your thoughts on Treeline by Hillwood Community in Justin. Oh, we like Treeline. We've got at least 2 buyers right now looking in Treeline. It's just got some nice nature to it. It's really neat. So
and it's one of the top developers,
by Hillwood.
So,
Anything by Hillwood is they're one of the top developers. I mean, when I was looking at my video today, and I was the one on Prosper, and I was seeing drone footage, and you could even tell from drone footage the ones that had been put together by Hillwood versus the ones that hadn't, just by the lack of artistry, and just okay. So I would say, and answer your question, we really like Treeline. We've got a couple of buyers looking there right now, so we're getting even more and more familiar with it. All right, what is considered too fast to build a home? We are closing 2 months earlier than what we signed. It's going to take them 5 months to finish. Should I be concerned that they rushed? It just depends, because there's a lot of factors other than the labor that can slow things down. For example, if inspectors and permitting went faster than what they expected, that can make things happen faster than they expected. Also, if materials came in, so probably when they gave you a quote of the amount of time, they probably have in mind that there's probably going to be permitting delays. There's going to have to, maybe wait a week here or there to get an inspector to come out, for the various phases, as well as not knowing when the supplies. So it could be that those things made it go faster. So I wouldn't necessarily think that they rushed through it, because there's other variables besides just the actual construction part. All right. DM says hello. Can I wave also? Hello.
Yeah. So back to Lake Ralph Lake. That's actually, it doesn't show any land available for sale on that lake right now. It's all just it's all just in the town of Ladonia. So so I don't know. I mean, I don't really see anything for sale on that lake. Yeah.
Okay. JP, you are 100% correct on this one. That's what we were saying as well. There are tons of unlisted homes out there. Very true. Those numbers are very skewed. Don't think about buying at least October. Okay. CMA Fed tool currently has 2 rates coming as well. So tell me, JP, I'm very interested. What is your metric that makes October a magic month? Really interested in knowing the specific data on that. Because typically we see our lowest prices of the year after Thanksgiving and December and January. So very interesting. Oh, JP, this is a good one. No, Trump can't impact the Fed rate at all. You just wait till you see my video about this, because he can. He can. And I know, because I've been very interested in researching this, going, oh my goodness, look what he's doing. The Fed is private and not public, as well it should be. The Fed can impact long-term rates, as the Fed rate is the overnight lending, expecting 50 basis point drop this year.
It can impact but that's not what typically causes the long-term rates to. what typically causes long-term rates to go is more about the treasury bonds, the 10-year treasury bonds, and that is around a lot about how the economy is and how the investors are doing, because based on what the economy is doing and what inflation's doing, how much money, and what can happen is if they start, and what's happened in the past is if they start putting money, if the federal government puts money into the economy and stuff, that changes things a lot and causes some of these problems. And well, I say problems. Some people like it.
Yeah.
And then those type of things. So.
And JP, what I'm referring to here is, you might want to look it up, is how does Trump influence quantitative easing?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's not changing the Fed rate, but he is changing rates in general. And it's really more about the mortgage rates that Trump can impact. And it has to do with the Treasury and quantitative easing. So if you look that up, there's a spoiler alert for one of the videos I'm making, but it is quite possible. And Trump has been very vocal about making some of the decisions that would affect that. So he can't make, you're right. He cannot force, the Fed to lower rates, but he can impact rates overall. He can impact bond rates. He can impact mortgage rates. So it's very interesting because he's so determined right now. So it's interesting how he's just kind of like, what else can I do since Powell won't play? So JP, you're expecting a 50 basis point drop this year. Okay. Could be. It's really interesting how it's become such a topic of controversy that so much pressure on there. Okay, DM, waiting for a $500,000 to $600,000 home to be 3 to 30.5 monthly mortgage. Do you mean $3,000 to $3,500 a month mortgage? Is that what you mean, DM?
It's possible.
Okay, and then
depending how much you put down and. What kind of
and so that's one of the things that's kind of like quantify that a little bit more so that you have a real specific goal.
Okay, that's a wide range too.
And also like
that's like 3 to 3.5.
I think you're saying like I think you're saying 3,000 to 3,500.
Yeah, maybe you're pushing.
And so you're using the word mortgage, so I'm assuming you're just talking about principal and interest. And so then take that a little further by saying what's your down payment. And you could also work backwards by saying what interest rate will get me there. And then you'll know like, okay, here's my goal. And then write it down. Have your goal written down so that you know exactly when you get to that rate. So it's a good goal to have, though. Good goal to have. Okay. Sumith, would love for you to do a new construction townhome builder review report card like you did for single family builders. Loved how you broke down each builder based on craftsmanship, contracts, and so on. Now, so do you have like... so you must be talking about the ones where I did like under 400,000 and then mid-range and then luxury. That's a great idea. That is an excellent idea because we've got a lot of different townhome builders. I will do that. Submit. That's a great idea. I can definitely do that. Okay. I believe most houses will come down to 2021 prices. Okay. The majority of people can't afford based on the current household income, not to mention taxes and insurance and everything else is killing the budget. Okay, so when you say 2021 prices, at what time in the year, right? Because we saw rapid escalation in 2021. So this was not a stable year. And then what area? Because prices are going to be different in every area. So try to quantify that just a little bit more so you know what your goal is.
In general, I don't see prices going back down.
So, well, I mean, that would be because again, 2021 was when everything was exploding. So if you're talking about January 2021 or December 2021, that's a whole different ballgame. So try to nail that down a little more specifically. TriPoint. Okay. They're on my list. Thank you for bringing that up, Tina. They are already on my list. The 10-year bond is what controls the mortgage rates and investors need it to be high to buy them up. The government can't lower them because of the U.S. debt. There is a lot of truth to that. If you check out some of Trump's latest videos, that's where his latest comments, I guess, that's talking about trying to affect quantitative easing is in how he structures the debt and how he allows it to be sold. So it's an Oh, we're back. Okay, we are back. The 10-year bonds, it's very true. Also, Trump can control what is sold as what.
Right.
And so if he refuses to allow debt to be sold as a 10-year bond, that's going to bring a result. So it's just something to think about there. Oh, look, Roberto is smart. That make your night? Y'all good? That was very nice. Okay, appreciate it, Dale. I'm just looking to invest in a corner lot or land on the lake for possible cabin rentals.
Yeah, it's a nice,
cool idea.
Nice area out there.
Cool idea. Also, tons of homes will be going into foreclosure, like this one at Watercrest today. I can't see a link. I did notice, I was researching today, and I did notice that mortgage foreclosure proceedings are up. They're both up year over year as well as month over month.
What are they from compared to the before? Yeah.
Not even close. They're not even on the radar for 2008.
So we have not that far. I mean, I'm talking about like before COVID and stuff. So
that's a good point. And I didn't compare it that way because I just look in month over month and year over year.
We haven't seen that much yet. So it's not,
All right. There we are. Sorry about that, guys. I am considering to buy a house in Dallas area. However, property doesn't have high ceiling and bathtub. Can we say those are red flags for that property? And Naretti, I'm not sure if you mean less desirable. Maybe is that? I would say everybody really likes those vaulted ceilings for sure. If you want to buy one that doesn't have a high ceiling and a bathtub, make sure it has other redeeming factors, maybe from the from the location.
And
standpoint.
I would say the bathtub thing is about a 50-50 thing with buyers.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's see here now. Yes, historically, the Fed was the largest buyer of MBS. I think it'll start back again soon to get mortgage rates down. So it is interesting, guys, that there are things, that the government can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. You are welcome. Okay. Do you know what sheathing Coventry uses? It's a good question.
I don't know.
It's probably non-structural sheathing, probably a foam sheathing, but
very only custom builders pretty much anymore use structural.
It has really gotten less and less, which is sad, but you've gotten to where less and less builders are willing to use that structural sheathing. And some of them will be very much like, we don't think it's the best option.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Okay, Roberto, good. Beginning of the year and most of the DFW. So maybe take some counties and average it in, or so January of 2021, that's great. I mean, that is really good for quantifying your goal. If you're like, okay, median sales price for these counties together in January of 2021 was this price, that's what I'm looking for. That's good. That's good to quantify it. Okay, Pulte and Centex K, they're on the list. So you guys are good. You've given me some great ones. Pulte and Syntex are on the list. TriPoint is also on the list. Windsor was not. So I'm glad to hear that. Again, if you guys have any, even if you're watching after this is live, because I think we're going to go ahead and close up shop here in a minute. Go ahead and do comments. If there are builder reviews you'd like to see, I'm happy to make them. I really enjoy kind of that deep dive. Yeah, absolutely. All right, you guys, we are going to.
Thanks for the great night.
Thank you so much. Really enjoy chatting with you guys. Excellent feedback. Really love what you guys have to say about the Fed and the mortgage rates and affordability. Super helpful to kind of see what people out there are seeing. So, but we are going to go ahead and call it a night for now. So you guys all have a great evening.
See you later.
Okay, bye.